We'll all remember Disrespect Gate. For over a year, disappointed to angry creeks have emanated out of New Zealand as the Kiwi press realised the one team who always sent a second team on summer tours were dropping a weekend 15 onto their shores in July 2025. It was the scandal that rolled and rolled, the discourse point that kept rugby going for a full year for some reason, and yet we needn't have worried. France versus New Zealand opened the Southern Hemisphere Test calendar with a bang this weekend. As good a game as we'll see all year, France refusing to let the alphabet define them as their C team delivered an A-star performance. The disrespectful posse pushing Razor's respectful little boys all the way, almost claiming a famous win in New Zealand. The All Blacks ultimately coming good, coming out on top to set up a fascinating series, an incredibly exciting year of All Black rugby once we get beyond these three huge tests. So how did New Zealand pull off the win? How did France keep it so close despite missing more than 40 frontline players? And which of these two sides should the rest of us be more afraid of going forwards? A few months back, we made a deep dive video on how France successfully built more depth than any other team in the world, and ultimately that proved half the battle on Saturday. Even with only one first choice player in their 15, they were able to plug in enough quality options into the team to execute that incredibly robust game plan Fabien Galthié has perfected over the last 5 years. The All Blacks, under Scott Robertson, kick primarily, almost exclusively at times, contestably. Even when looking to exit their own territory, unless they're really trapped behind their own line, they tend to hang it in the air and get a chase on. The idea is to always move themselves upfield, yes, but to create broken field scenarios, to create chaos. Winning the ball back off a kick means you can attack against a defence that isn't yet set. Galthié's France, on the other hand, kick long and have always kicked long. Their goal to force you into positions where you'll kick the ball back, hopefully opening up shots at the counter-attack or again, misaligned defence on the following phase. These two approaches are fundamentally mismatched and it allowed France to get on top early on, especially with a few tiny tweaks to their system. Where France usually looked to slap it down the middle and keep it in play, we saw much more targeting of the touchline this week, especially early on. Segun here, exploiting at the covers watching 50-22, imagine the pin New Zealand right back just outside it. Whilst the Kiwi exit is efficient and the reply from Roygaard frankly very good, catching Atasogbe off guard, but the fullback still recovers the ball some 30 metres upfield from where Segun initially kicked it. A really healthy net gain of a third of the pitch from France's kicking strategy. Because France were able to control the air in the first half, it gave them rough control of the game for the first 20 odd minutes. If they were kicking 40 metres each time, then the All Blacks kicking 20, but France recover it, it's a 20 metre net gain for France, time after time. They rode this control of territory to the first 10 points of the game, and it also allowed them to frequently stem All Black momentum, deploying Tom Spring, usually a fullback at club level, on the wing to help win those balls back in the air and keep themselves advancing downfield. And with the ball, somehow those same simple philosophies Galthié and former attack coach Laurent Labide brought in 5 years ago are still very effective. Their opening try, finished by the utterly brilliant Mikel Guillard, one of the players of the year, certainly breakthrough players of the year so far, is their classic stretch formation, something they've been playing since 2020. It's so simple but still so effective. The backs are stacked into two waves, one centre directly behind the other here, with Atasogbe fairly narrow on Gaëtan here. However, as the ball leaves the scrum, the first wave runs perfectly straight, whilst the second drifts wider in behind, subtly, almost imperceivably. Barrett and Proctor naturally turn their heads to watch the ball spin out of Segun's hands, and by the time they look up, without fanfare, Gaëtan and Atasogbe are in totally different positions, having slowly stretched onto the outside. It's kind of only noticeable when you mark on the 10 metre, here, a spot in line with where the two of them start. Atasogbe starts narrow, so Proctor will start opposite him, but actually catches the ball already on the centre's outside. He's drifted, he's beaten him whilst the ball was leaving Segun's hands, before Proctor even looked up. The quickest player in the French team, he can round him with relative ease, with Jordan watching Villiers on the extreme, and Gaëtan runs a brilliant support line, narrowing himself up and almost making it all the way to the try line. Villiers might be the best breakdown winger in the world and clears out alone here, allowing Le Garrick to play fast. The first wave from first phase has flooded forwards, so France can get 2 passes away from the breakdown really easily, just 4 seconds after the tackle is made. Newell here is late into position, having just been scrummaging a few seconds earlier, and whilst Fickou is stopped short, the All Blacks can't fade anyone onto the fringe in time to stop Guillard from finishing. It's brilliant and so typical of what France have been doing for years. Atasogbe's break, superb, just creating positions for players like him, even if they are nominally second or third teamers, to break through and make these line breaks. However, this two-wave model has also become a critical part of how the All Blacks now attack as well, and we saw that in their immediate riposte, finished by William Jord. This is increasingly the go-to shape in Test rugby, a flat line of 3 or 4 forwards with a distributor standing blind and then floating in behind them, essentially able to fit behind and work as free boots rather than one that they flood into one by one by one. The All Black variation here is to have two lines with the last forward overlapping into kind of both groups, the two close together, allowing the ball to move between these two groups with ease, plenty even without needing a fly half. But it also allows them to refine shape so quickly between phases. The attack is initially a bit disjointed, coming off a charge down and hence unexpected possession. They're still finding shape, but once the All Blacks get it out to the wing, it's so much easier to set shape from a sideline, and this was a feature all the way through the game. Every time the All Blacks lose shape, they throw out to the touchline, and from there, they refine shape almost instantaneously. And that happens here. They slide into formation. This starts as a 4-pod, but Holland slips back into the pod behind last second as the ball leaves the ruck at Barrett's request here to set for the following phase. Vai carries, Duguid and Guiard make the tackle, and only Barlow, the hooker here, reloads onto the open side to face a fully set Kiwi attack. Look how wide from the reverse angle this pod is setting. The pass takes out two French defenders, and a little step from Leo Willie makes Ticheron on his first test start think he's going to try and attack the prop on the outside, so he steps in. This in turn forces Seguns in, who misreads the play, thinks it's a tip onto Newell running a great line. Instead, it goes behind to Bodie, who skips onto Seguns outside. Atasogbe and Villiers try to close it off, but no dice. Ball over the top and try in the corner for Jordan. All from the sheer options and speed to reload this All Black system gives them. It makes quick ball so utilisable. Another variation created Jordan's disallowed try from the second half. The 4-pod here is joined and carry. Then as the next wave hits, Bowden Barrett floods round here. Your natural instinct as a defender, and frankly as a viewer, is to assume that the All Blacks therefore will go blind again, but that 4-pod has hopped back up to their feet, and last second, Bodie floods back the other way to get behind them. His positioning and Surveyor's timing are perfect. Queued up for right as Tosi here is in optimal blocking position. Karifi runs a brilliant line, nudging Woki to disconnect him from Segun on his outside. The 10 struggles to adapt. Janot races in from the backfield, but the timing and hands from both centres are lovely, and Jordan goes over in the corner. These horizontal stacks have become a core signifier of the All Black attack, and there's a similar idea in this first phase move. The All Blacks line their three key playmakers up in a straight line here, with Ioane behind, and it's kind of impossible to read. If you're a French player, you have no idea what NZ are doing here, and it forces the French to mark respectively. Fickou is about in line with Proctor here, the defence incredibly narrow. Will Jordan waits right out on the touchline for the cross kick, pulling his opposite number Villiers out wide too and opening a big gap. Here, with France having two in the backfield, meaning Gaiton is the last defender before the touchline. Ball reaches the back of the scrum, Roygod bounces out to 10, Leo Willie plays 9, and it allows all four All Blacks to drift France style. It skips onto Geordie, who engages Segun with Bodie reloading behind. Proctor's dummy line is fantastic and bumps Fickou to stop his momentum, allowing Barrett to isolate Gaiton with so much space outside him, and puts Ioane right through. It's simple. The entire move is just about creating 2-on-1s in various situations, taking these guys out of the game so they can isolate Gaiton. It's simple, but these static stacks Robertson seems to be leaning into are near impossible to read. However, a note here quickly for the defensive work of Villiers, who turns this from a try into a line break merely. Every official is looking at the ball, so he just blocks and bumps Mackenzie out of position, meaning he's not an option to take a pass. He's not realistically running a good support line, killing this as a try scoring chance. It's a brilliant, subtle moment of defence by Villiers. The All Black attack has always, going back generations, been about passing the ball, keeping it alive, finding ways to get their endless supply of talent into promising positions to do their thing, and the way Razor has riffed on that flat 4-pod trend that's spreading across the game is perfect for that All Black style. Here they set up and carry several phases in a row. The pod shape simply gives them options on options, meaning the defence has to watch all of them equally. And Proctor here fills in as a forward briefly, then bounces onto the next pod, where he again fills in as the widest forward. So used to smash-ups, France only anticipate the tackle, except for Villiers, who overreads it and fires in on Barrett. If he stands off a bit here, he can probably wait for Bowden to drift and double job, but instead he opens the hole for Jordan, who puts Geordie over in the corner. The All Black movement with the ball is so crisp. There's so much great running off the ball, and the defence and kicking game are both about getting the ball back to do that more. It's a really smart, joined up system that just put pressure on France time after time. The shape has so many moving pieces. While several of the tries, disallowed or otherwise, came from individual poor reads, the idea is to make opposition players make so many decisions so regularly, in some cases mere seconds after their last one, that they will slip eventually and make the wrong one sooner or later. We see that in Tupou Vai's try here, where he very smartly targets is Alexandra Fisher, who is retreating on side still. It doesn't look like a gap to the naked eye, but Vi knows that either this is a try or a yellow card, as Fisher won't be able to legally make the tackle until about the moment Vi is reaching the try line. Now, it's an All Black game, so therefore it's that time in the video, I'm afraid. It's time to say it. Tupa Vi is world class. He was absolutely brilliant playing back row for the first time this season, just his second time in international rugby. Was absolutely brilliant. The kid is world class. I don't know why we aren't talking about him more. He's one of the best locks in the world. He's now a great flanker. Why aren't we talking about Tupa Vi more? I don't know. We should talk about France a little bit though, because France brought plenty of quality themselves. If, and this is an absolutely monumental, all-time massive, big if, France are going to win the next World Cup or the World Cup in 2031, I suspect this performance on Saturday may be one of the games we look back on as a key milestone. Beating the All Blacks in New Zealand is the toughest standalone test in rugby. Winning in South Africa is tough, and I know there'll be people in the comments, but literal Wales beat you there in the last 3 years, so maybe pipe down. To take a team this green, this lacking in experience, without any of your regulars, and almost do it is huge. And to get so many players up to international standards in mere minutes is astonishing. French rugby's always had a respect of the All Blacks to the point of almost fear and reverence. And so the confidence and growth that France and their wider squad will get from this tour will be enormous. Seeing that pretty much any rugby player in the country, when playing in the right way and brought together at the right time, is good enough to beat them, even if they didn't quite get over the line, will be enormous for guys beyond the likes of Dupont, Penaud, Untermack. The guys who got injured in the last World Cup, and we saw their campaign kind of slide away. And they created so many moments that deserve to live in infamy. Villiers' try is superb and patiently worked. It's extremely France. It's initially bad ball to play off, but the repeated use of big carries and extreme width slowly gets them on the front foot, continually sucking in and disconnecting the All Black defence phase on phase. Then the moment it's time to pull the trigger, Segun not only identifies it, but every player executes their role flawlessly at a second's notice. The battle between attack and defence has been pretty even over this set of phases, and France don't really get on top until Ficku's pick and go here. It catches New Zealand off guard. It's so separate from what they've been doing. Similar to Vi, he targets two players offside, knowing there'll be a gap here somewhere, or at least a penalty. And as ever, France's groundwork is the best in the game, best in the world, and he presents the ball so well, negating the need for any clear out. Le Garrec has it off the floor, and with all Black forwards pulled into a desperation tackle, Roygaard is filling in as a forward, and Barrett pulled in tight. But watch this line by Tyler Duguid. Again, on debut, it's perfect. He times it beautifully so that it looks like he's about to take the pass, and Geordie Barrett bites fully, smashing him, and Segun can stretch onto his outside, working around. Ioane is forced in, and the 10 can hit Villiers on the same overs line as Sogbe ran in the first half to score the try. France back within one. It ultimately wasn't to be for France. Some brilliant All Black defence at the end, never quite letting them create a second such moment, as they went for an extremely similar set of phases in the last 5 minutes, but they came close. They had a chance. It's a rarity, but both teams will likely have the exact same takeaways from Test 1 as they head into the rematch on Saturday. Our game plan works, remain disciplined to it, and stop biting on what you expect the opposition to do, and we can win the second test. I suspect we might see a much lower scoring second game between these two, as both sides tighten up on their overreads and forced lapses in concentration that created the scores. But these are two attacks that want to force you into a decision you might regret, so we might see both sets of coaches saying, well, don't make any decisions until you're absolutely certain, sounding like parents with kids either eager to get a tattoo or support Wales. Regardless, it sets up a fascinating but brilliant, exciting second game on Saturday. The All Blacks now know what sort of a match they're in for, and whilst the likelihood they'll run away with at least one game in this test series remains decent, this French team has made themselves very difficult to disrespect any longer. Thank you for watching that. I hope you enjoyed it. There's so much going on with rugby at the minute. It's been exhausting. There's lots of Lions stuff. There's other tests going on. There's this game you just watched. We've got more Squid Rugby.
Yeah, we looked at Wales's crushing loss to Japan and once again filtered that into just how crushing it was. And also we've looked at, and more positive news, Hong Kong qualifying for the Men's Rugby World Cup in 2027. How exciting is that?
That's huge. That's really exciting. So there's going to be loads more going on from the second channel. We're going to have some more stuff going up here as well as the Lions tour rolls on, as this test series moves on. We'll look at previews for the tests next week. So loads more going on, and we'll see you very soon for plenty more rugby.
Nice.
I think this is American football.
It probably is, yeah.
Well, I mean, I still couldn't tell you the names of them, but the forwards coming off the bench just kept rolling through Ireland. They dismantled Ireland.